The Khor'Tal Dominion had catalogued over 5,000 sapient species, neatly arranged in a hierarchy of their own making. At the very top sat the titans of their empire, massive, armor-skinned war beasts who conquered entire systems with claw and plasma, and near the bottom, just a notch above the semi-feral scavengers, was a newly discovered species from an unremarkable blue planet, humans. To the Khor'Tal, humans were a cosmic disappointment, small, soft, frail. Their first scout report summed it all up in one dismissive phrase: biologically inefficient, combat irrelevant. They believed we were too fragile to even matter, so, when they captured their first human, they didn't expect much. The subject was a young man named Elias Ward, taken from a remote expedition in the Andes. He woke up strapped to a cold metal table, surrounded by towering reptilian aliens with shimmering emerald eyes. They were here to study him, to scientifically prove what they already believed, that humans were weak. The lead xenobiologists, Vrothic, activated a recorder, began baseline physical assessment. To guards and shackled Elias. A drone projected an energy barrier around the room. Elias looked around, his heart pounding. But his expression wasn't panic, it was curiosity. Is this some kind of lab? He asked. The aliens exchanged confused glances. Vrothic tilted his head. You do not appear distressed. Elias gave a small, nervous smile. Oh, I'm terrified, he said. I just handle it better than most. Vrothic's first note was one of confusion. They started the tests. First up, strength. Elias was handed weighted rods. The aliens expected him to fail quickly. Instead, he lifted weights far heavier than they predicted. His muscles trembled, sweat poured down his face, but he kept going. Your skeletal muscular output, Vrothic muttered, is significantly higher than your mass suggests. It's a human thing. Elias panted. We get stronger when we have to. Next was endurance. They put him on a grav treadmill, cranking up the speed and an incline. Elias gasped. He stumbled. He nearly fell, but each time, he caught himself and kept running. After 20 minutes, he should have collapsed. Instead, something strange happened. Elias pushed even harder. The aliens watched in baffled silence. Why does your stamina increase under duress? A scientist demanded. Elias shrugged mid-sprint. Adrenaline, stress response, survival instinct. He didn't tell them that every human learns, from childhood, to dig deeper in their body thinks is possible. No alien had ever evolved that kind of desperation. Then came the pain tolerance assessment. A pressure clamp squeezed his forearm. They expected screams. Instead, Elias gritted his teeth, hissed sharply, and muttered, Okay, yeah, that's not fun. Vrothic paused the test. Your pain receptors are firing at an alarming intensity. Why do you not react more violently? Pain's just information, Elias said through clenched teeth. Doesn't always need a big reaction. Another confused note for the datapad. The psychological assessment brought the first real shock. A telepath named Shalak tried to probe Elias's mind. She reeled back instantly, her mandibles flaring in distress. Vrothic rushed to her side. What did you see? Shalak trembled. Chaos. Nos. Layers upon layers of memories. And beneath it all, something primal, something predatory. Vrothic was stunned. Humans? Humans, Shalak whispered, are not prey-minded. They are threat-minded. That was the first major warning. The real bombshell came during the biological hazard test. They placed Elias in a sealed chamber with a mild pathogen, something harmless to most species, just to watch his immune response. Within 15 minutes, he had a fever. Within 30, his immune system launched a furious counterattack. Vrothic stared at the monitor, speechless. This is impossible. Your immune cells are aggressive, adaptive. They are neutralizing the pathogen with unprecedented speed. Elias wiped sweat from his brow. Human immune system, he said weakly. We've had a rough evolutionary history. The Dominion scientists looked at each other with unease. Most species avoided disease. Humans had evolved with it, through it, and because of it. But the final test shattered every last assumption they had. Cognitive resilience. They hit Elias with sensory overload patterns designed to stun even battle-hardened warriors. Lights flashed, alarms screamed, the floor vibrated. Elias winced, clamped his hands over his ears, and squeezed his eyes shut, but he stayed on his feet. "Stop," he shouted. "You don't need to do this." Vrothik stared in disbelief. Even under a direct neurological assault, Elias hadn't panicked, he hadn't collapsed, he hadn't broken, he had endured. The recorder clicked off. The room fell silent. Vrothik finally spoke, his voice low and shaken. "We may have misclassified your species." Elias managed a smirk despite the pain. "You think?" Vrothik turned to the other scientists. "Begin a full reevaluation of human biology immediately," because in that moment, the Khor'Tal Dominion finally understood. Humans weren't weak. They were the most dangerously adaptable species they had ever encountered. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more. See you in the next one. The Dominion science vessel Kraxith had survived black holes, plasma storms, and wars across 8 star systems. But they had never encountered a threat like the one sitting calmly in its containment chamber. A single human, Elias Ward, soft-skinned, small, unarmored, hands somehow. The most statistically concerning organism the Khor'Tal had ever recorded. Initially, the xenobiologist's notes were dismissive, almost mocking. But soon, they turned frantic. Every single test they performed on Elias generated more questions than answers. Every perceived weakness turned out to be hiding a surprising strength. The tipping point finally came when Dominion High Command sent a chilling message. "Terminate the subject. He is too unpredictable." Vrothik, the lead scientist, stared at the order, his mandibles trembling. Terminating a subject during analysis was standard procedure, but something made him hesitate. Elias wasn't just surviving the tests. He seemed to be learning from them. He was adapting. Vrothik had seen that spark before, but only in the most dangerous predators. Still, protocol demanded obedience. Guards marched into Elias's chamber, their plasma rifles armed and ready. Elias sat on the edge of the testing bed, exhausted but his eyes sharp and alert. "What now?" he asked, his voice steady. Vrothik stepped forward, his own voice heavy. "The Dominion has deemed you too dangerous." Elias blinked slowly, a wry smile touching his lips. "So, you're going to kill me because you thought I was weak? That is not—" "Yeah," Elias cut in, his tone sharp. "That's exactly what it is." The guards raised their weapons. Vrothik gave the command, and in that instant, everything went wrong for the Dominion. The moment the rifles powered up, Elias's heartbeat spiked, but it wasn't panic, it was focus. Onboard sensors lit up like a star-going supernova. Adrenaline flooded his bloodstream. His muscle fiber density increased by 12%. His reaction speed shot up by 18%. The Dominion had never seen a species whose physiology could transform in a matter of seconds, before the guards could even pull their triggers. Elias moved. It wasn't graceful. It wasn't skillful. It was raw, explosive power. He grabbed the nearest heavy analysis table, a solid metal slab bolted to the floor, and, with a primal yell, ripped it free. Metal shrieked and sparks flew. He used it as a shield just as the first plasma bolts hit. The impact slammed him backward, the edges of his makeshift shield glowing hot, but he held on. Vrothik stumbled back, his mind reeling. "This is impossible," he cried out. "No," Elias grunted, pushing forward against the barrage of fire. "This is human." He slammed the heavy table into the 2 nearest guards, knocking them off their feet. Their plasma rifles clattered to the floor. In a flash, Elias snatched one up and pointed it at the remaining guards, his grip awkward, unsure of the controls. "Don't make me figure this thing out," he warned, his voice a low growl. The remaining guards froze, their confidence shattered. Vrothik lifted his trembling hands in a gesture of surrender. "Elias, listen, we do not wish to harm you Elias scoffed. You literally just tried to. We received orders, Vrothik explained, his mandibles clicking with fear. Orders we now understand were based on complete ignorance. What, are you? Elias breathed heavily, the adrenaline rush slowly beginning to fade. We're just people, he said. But our bodies, they're built to survive anything. You were classified as fragile. Vrothik whispered, completely baffled. Yeah, we look fragile, Elias admitted, lowering the rifle slightly. But you didn't study where we came from. My species evolved on a death world. We had predators bigger than this ship, a climate that tried to kill us every single season, diseases that wiped out entire tribes. We survived by adapting faster than anything else alive. The alien scientists exchanged horrified glances. A death world, one of them whispered in disbelief. Elias nodded grimly. Earth makes your most hostile planets look like relaxing vacation spots, and the craziest part, we didn't just survive Earth, we conquered it. Silence fell over the chamber. For the first time, the Khor'Tal understood their catastrophic mistake. They had been testing human limits, never realizing that for humans, the limits themselves can move. Vrothik slowly stepped forward, claws open in a universal gesture of peace. Elias Ward, you were taken from your home. We have wronged you. But, if you will allow it, we wish to learn from you. Not as a specimen, as an advisor. Elias hesitated. He had the power now. He could try to escape, maybe even cripple the Dominion from the inside. But that wasn't who he was. He wanted knowledge. He wanted to understand. And most of all, he wanted a way home. He slowly lowered the rifle and let out a long breath. All right. But no more torture tests. No more trying to kill me. And someone's explaining how your doors work because I keep walking into them. The aliens bowed their heads in agreement. And that was how, in a single day, humanity's classification rose from biologically irrelevant to Class Zeta, high-risk adaptive apex species, a species the Dominion now feared and desperately wanted on their side. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more. See you next time.